Today 17, it's Saturday, it's Sunday, 0 hours, 37 minutes, it's a great number. And we will move with things we are doing, Saquarema Time City. The last thing we had was this situation here, which was the systemic entropy, the real-time follow-up, request to offer plea bargain, considering variables at the criminal system, from Brazil internationally operated as pandemic crime or transnational organized crime, called by the circumstance unique. It's illegal anyway, has no excuse. We request and consider it corruption at the institution. Now we have Saturday and Sunday. We are doing kind of the remote follow-up, just this follow-up. And on Sunday, it's the same thing, but we are kind of reporting the design and structure needed to use the SAGE. Right? We are kind of having this because the idea is quite simple. The remote follow-up and issues are not related with the Brazil for sure, except to protect the asset and the interest kind of we have. Considering our interest, we could observe that the insider trading will be an activity linked with the corruption. The insider trade will appear at the environment of trade, or the environment of decision, or at the architecture as a source. Once corrupted, we will open the gateway with other areas. In general, take advantage from inside and combine it with advantage too at the outside. Indeed, take advantage of both and form something new, which is their interest as take advantage of anything. We could observe that our model as frequency unveiled upon the scam with distribution based on misuse of power, and once in a while illegal since from the very first day when you set the ways to achieve the power. In general, put the electoral procedure or the electoral process failured with frauds. Even discrete can be inside your company, at your institutional architecture as state. If the voters can't vote, are not regular, they can't vote. They can't be at the process, they can't be recorded at this. In the same way, the shareholders, if they are not regular, they can't have vote to pick a new CEO or prepare a better police for your company. Because in general, we had been observed the opposite, that they had been used even without no excuse to be there to ensure that the bias will be made and continue. We can observe also that the SAGE can be at the neutral area offering the plea bargain to arguments on it, caught in a rational architecture, prepared and raised and organized to allow the plea bargain and flight procedures on neutral area, considering the situations against the pandemic mobilization of crime that is a criminal area. Criminal activity inside state and institution has no excuse to be, continue, or have the interest as be there. You kind of shouldn't consider this. But indeed, this is the main goal of our institution. Be there, continue, and ensure that you will have no consequence, creating harmful situations all around the globe. We can observe that the relation debit and credit also is divided and fixed and discretionary, which means the degree as freedom to make a decision, but it's not totally freedom. It's kind of a limit of tolerance to you do the decision. If you go beyond, you are not regular. You can have the decision, the financial decision is not valid. We requested to refute and no operations with the problems at the use of power. In general, and for sure, on present time, all institutions and states are at this way. But we are working with the USA and Europe. And we observe that the Ponzi scam go this way, having a big amount of money as a national treasury or the saving account of your company, you take advantage from inside, using interface that will lead to operators that will carry operations on it associated with the interface A to take advantage of the treasury alpha, you'd say. Combined all around, we have alpha east, alpha west, and we could check that the private property is under aggression by tax police and tax politics made by the misuse of power, not only local or at the domestic system, but also at the international system and community, because it's the same checks that, for instance, are having the wrongdoing in Brazil, are also having the wrongdoing at the United Nations. And the situation is quite simple. All resources will be misused by all misguided institutions because the misusers are inside at the use of power. We will have here right now as the architecture you need to compare things you have, considering that the power we can divide in two moments: to achieve or to keep. Right? Right. We will observe that the power in present time is suffering the same situation as the past, which is the impeachment. In general, is related to keep the power. We had complained before that to achieve the power had problems and noise at the electoral process. Now we will have the situation divided in two moments, I would say, considering the architecture we have in USA. We will have Democrats and Republicans in two events. And of course that it doesn't matter at this moment which is the reason or the rationale to set the impeachment as a process at the Congress. Just the impeachment as a process. In the previous situation, we will check which was the behavior of the Democrats, which was the behavior of the Republicans, considering the impeachment as something that can be to cut the power or to keep the power. The situation is keep the power, to cut the power, 002 do not cut. We will check this at the past, right? Which was the situation. And also at the present time here we can have only an exclusive choice, +1 or 0. +1 to cut the power, which was the position of the Democrats and the Republicans. Not today, on current impeachment, the same situation, which is the position of the Democrats and the Republicans. And this line here, we set the first movement of our cognitive element that can be something like this. Is the first step of our rational architecture. Now, inside the procedure as impeachment, we will have the possibility as something straight or corrupted. Straight or corrupted. And we are not considering the last moment as something criminal, because if we have the corruption, we do not have to make more movement. There are no excuse for criminal use of the Congress chair in the United States. The position is quite simple. By the situations we have, we must repeat the situation at the past, considering not the argument but the process, which was decided to keep the power at the chair number one at that time. On present time, we will observe probably the same result, and it's to do not cut the power, 0-0. Then we will check that inside this regular procedure that sustained the power, for instance, in the past, and probably will do the same thing on present time, had any kind of corruption as payment and adjustment. In the same way, observed to achieve the power, but now to keep the power, we suggested to use the grid as the architecture. We have a new models of plea bargain. We are having this because indeed we can have quite clear that the judicial power in USA has also the same problems observed in all other areas, but maybe not with the same intensity or frequency, but exist and was complained by the Ministry of Justice in the United States of America. At the previous electoral procedure, we are offering the rational architecture. Once inside this, because this is the rational architecture, here we are working with the SAGE. If you got -1, indeed, you for sure will have to ask your resignation as a Congress or something like this, right? Consider the defensive system of United States fitted by this humble argument pro bono, but with the right as compensation legally charged, with the regression from institution and state combined by aggressions made in Brazil with no excuses. 40 trillion, 12 billion cases estimated as minor values by the fake records we have, requesting all consequences affordable or validated against the criminal use of power that leads to the criminal users at the power on institutions and states organized by the hierarchical distribution of power, corrupted. We're talking about criminal organization in a transcontinental level. It's the pandemic crime under a dismantle expectations. Even without the order, the dismantle is moving on. Have a great Sunday and Merry Christmas.